Peace be with you. This is Ivan, the talkative uncle. Today is the third lecture on the Second Temple period, where we'll explore a biblical historical period from 63 BC to 117 BC. When emotions are pouring down, you need a reliable umbrella. Raining Heart, a free AI-powered platform designed for emotional expression, is better than the risks of unregulated online communication and gently guides you towards genuine support. The link is in the description. Herod the Great rose to power between 37 and 4 BC. At that time, internal strife within the Hasmonean family was intense, while Antipater the Edomite and his sons, Pharshal and Herod, gradually gained power. In 40 BC, the Parthians invaded Judea and installed Antigonus II of the Hasmoneans as king. Pharshal committed suicide amidst the chaos, and Hyrcanus II was captured and had his ear cut off, rendering him unfit to serve as high priest. Herod fled to Rome seeking aid. In Rome, Herod met Mark Antony and Octavian. They decided to support him and appointed him king of Judea. In 37 BC, Herod returned with the Roman army, besieged Jerusalem, and successfully captured the city. Antigonus was captured and executed. From then on, Herod officially ascended the Jewish throne, beginning his powerful and contradictory reign. Herod was known for his ambitious architectural plans. He began expanding the Second Temple around 20 BC, a project that lasted 46 years. Herod expanded the Temple Mount to approximately 35 acres, using massive stones, some weighing up to 400 tons, to build retaining walls, and adorning the entire structure with white marble and gold, making it one of the most magnificent religious buildings in the world at the time. A vast courtyard surrounded the temple for pilgrims to gather and worship. In addition, he built the port city of Caesarea, making it the administrative center of Rome and Judea. He constructed the Masada fortress palace in the desert, as well as the personal monumental fortress of Herod, and he further built the outer wall surrounding the cave of Machpelah, the patriarch's tomb, demonstrating his engineering and political ambitions. However, Herod's political methods were bloody and cruel. To consolidate his power, he did not hesitate to eliminate any threats, even executing many members of the Hasmonean family, including his beloved wife Miriam, granddaughter of Hyrcanus II. He also had his 3 sons executed on suspicion of treason. Nevertheless, Herod remained a staunch ally of Rome, clinging closely to the Roman Empire to maintain the legitimacy of his rule. Herod's reign was a time of contradictions. He expanded the holiest Jewish temple, yet as an Edomite and a brutal ruler, he never truly won the hearts of the Jewish people. His name represents both construction and glory, and also fear and oppression. After Herod the Great's death in 4 BC, his vast kingdom was no longer ruled by a single monarch. Instead, according to Roman arrangements, it was divided among his 3 sons, each ruling a different region. This partition ushered in a more complex political situation in Judea and laid the foundation for the New Testament era. First, the eldest son, Herod Archelaus, ruled Judah, Idumea, and Samaria. He inherited his father's strong-willed style but lacked political wisdom, and his rule was extremely brutal. The people were deeply dissatisfied with his oppressive rule and tyranny, and repeatedly appealed to Rome. Finally, in 6 AD, the Roman Emperor Augustus deposed him, turning his territory into a Roman province directly administered by a Roman governor. From then on, Judah entered a period of direct Roman rule, later giving rise to the well-known governor Pontius Pilate. The second son, Herod Antipas, received rule over Galilee and Perea. He reigned for over 40 years until his exile by Rome in 39 AD. Antipas was known for his ambition and vanity. He built the capital Tiberias in Galilee, naming it in honor of the Roman Emperor Tiberius. He is also a recurring figure in the New Testament. He ordered the execution of John the Baptist, Mark 6 verses 14 to 29, and interacted with Pilate during Jesus' trial, becoming part of the proceedings. See Luke 23 verses 7 to 12. The third, Herod Philip, ruled over northern regions including Etruria and Trachonia. His reign was relatively peaceful and benevolent, focusing on local development and administration, and he founded Caesarea Philippi as a sign of loyalty to Rome. He died in AD 34, ending a period of relative stability. These three feudal lords continued the political influence of their father, the Herod dynasty, but their differences reflected the turmoil and division within Judea. With the dethronement of Archelaus and the full intervention of Roman power, the Jews no longer had their own native ruler, thus forming the backdrop of Roman rule in the New Testament era. Between 6 and 66 AD, Judah entered the period of direct Roman rule. After Herod and Archelaus were deposed, Judah, Samaria, and Idumea were officially converted into Roman provinces, directly administered by Roman governors, initially called prefects, later procurators. The governors' responsibilities included maintaining Roman rule, collecting taxes, administering justice, and controlling local order. Among the most famous governors was Quirinius, who conducted a census in 6 AD. Scholars believe this census, mentioned in Luke 2 verse 2 in the New Testament, may be related, although the exact year remains controversial. Additionally, Pontius Pilate held power from 26 to 36 AD, playing a key role in the trial and crucifixion of Jesus. While the direct Roman rule effectively maintained order, it also accumulated deep-seated contradictions within society. Firstly, there was economic oppression, including heavy land taxes, poll taxes, and customs duties, making life difficult for the people. Secondly, there was cultural humiliation. For example, Roman troops brought banners bearing the emperor's portrait into Jerusalem, which Jews viewed as idolatry, provoking religious resentment. Furthermore, religious intervention severely challenged Jewish autonomy. Rome's control over the appointment of the high priest and the safekeeping of the sacred robes created an imbalance of religious authority. Coupled with judicial injustice, corruption, and atrocities by Roman officials, the public lost trust in the government. Ultimately, these external oppressions and internal humiliations accumulated, forming intense national discontent and foreshadowing the First Jewish War. This history reminds us that political rule lacking justice and respect not only disrupts social order but also incites deep-seated resistance and conflict. The First Judeo-Roman War broke out in 66 AD, stemming from long-accumulated social contradictions, but the spark was Jewish discontent with the Roman official Gessius Florus. Florus looted the temple treasury, acquiring silver, and brutally suppressed protesting Jews, igniting nationwide anger. At this time, the priests of Jerusalem ceased offering sacrifices to the Roman emperor and people, openly declaring rebellion. The uprising spread rapidly. Jewish radicals captured the fortress of Masada and defeated the Roman army at the Battle of Patharon, extending the anti-Roman movement throughout the country. Rome dispatched the experienced General Vespasian to suppress the rebellion. In 67 AD, he led the 10th and 5th legions into Galilee, while his son Titus joined them from Alexandria with the 15th legion. Most towns in Galilee surrendered without a fight or were captured by force. One of the most famous battles was the Siege of Yodfat, which fell after a 47-day siege. Its commander, Josephus, surrendered to Rome and later became an important historian. Another stronghold, Gamla, located on the Golan Heights, also fell to Rome after a month-long siege. However, the civil war known as the Year of the Four Emperors broke out in the Roman Empire between 68 and 69 AD. Vespasian was recalled to Rome and eventually became emperor, temporarily halting military operations. In 70 AD, the Roman army resumed the siege of Jerusalem, but the city descended into chaos. Various Jewish factions clashed, with moderates, zealots, and Sicaris vying for control. A provisional government was briefly established but quickly collapsed. Radical leaders John Kishkala and Simon Biagiola successively seized control of the city, dispersing the defenses. This internal conflict exacerbated the threat of external attacks and foreshadowed the eventual fall of Jerusalem. In the spring of AD 70, Titus led the Roman army in a full-scale siege of Jerusalem. The city had 3 walls, which the defenders fiercely defended. The first and second walls were breached within 3 weeks, while the third wall, the thickest line of defense, saw the defenders put up a fierce resistance, prolonging the siege. During the siege, a terrible famine struck the city. Josephus records even instances of cannibalism. Large numbers of civilians died from hunger and disease, plunging the city into extreme hardship. Finally, in July of AD 70, on the 9th day of Tisha B'Av in the Jewish calendar, the Roman army breached the final line of defense and set fire to the temple. The upper and lower parts of the city subsequently fell, and Jerusalem was almost completely razed to the ground. Titus preserved only the 3 towers of Herod's Acropolis as a testament to this once powerful city. Josephus claims that over 1 million people died during the siege and subsequent fighting. While modern scholars have questioned this figure, it undoubtedly demonstrates the immense casualties caused by the siege, with many killed or enslaved. After Titus returned to Rome, the Roman army gradually conquered the remaining Jewish strongholds, including Herodburg and Megirus, and finally captured Masada. According to Josephus, approximately 960 people, including the Sicarii rebels and their families, chose mass suicide rather than surrender after a long siege. Although the historical accuracy of this event remains controversial, it is highly symbolic. The direct impact of this war was far-reaching. The Second Temple was completely destroyed, officially ending the Jewish Temple period. Hundreds of thousands died, and tens of thousands were enslaved. Jerusalem was almost reduced to ruins, and the political and religious structures built upon the temple completely collapsed. In the long run, the Sadducees disappeared with the temple, while the Pharisees transformed into the foundation of Rabbinic Judaism, and Jews gradually dispersed overseas. Deteriorating relations with Rome also laid the groundwork for later diaspora uprisings and the Bacopa Revolt. Following the First Judeo-Roman War, Jews dispersed throughout the world, but conflict with Rome did not end. Between 115 and 117 AD, Jewish communities in Egypt, Cyrenaica, and Cyprus revolted. While these uprisings demonstrated the diaspora's commitment to their faith and autonomy, they were ultimately brutally suppressed by the Roman army, leading to the near extermination of the Jewish population in these regions and severely impacting the diaspora communities. Subsequently, from 132 to 135 AD, Jews again launched a large-scale rebellion in their homeland, the Bacopa Revolt. The immediate cause of the uprising was Emperor Hadrian's decision to establish a Roman colony, Aelia Capitolina, on the ruins of Jerusalem, and his explicit prohibition of circumcision, which directly challenged Jewish religious and cultural identity. The uprising was led by Simon Bacopa, who was even seen by some Jews as a messiah, embodying the hope of restoring Jewish independence. However, this uprising was ultimately and completely suppressed by Rome. According to Cassius Dio, approximately 580,000 Jews died, and 50 fortresses and 985 villages were destroyed. While these figures may be exaggerated, archaeological evidence does show that the population and settlements of Judah suffered a devastating blow. Rome renamed the province Syria Palestina and banned Jews from entering Jerusalem, later allowing them only to enter the city annually on the 9th of Tishri to mourn the destruction of the temple. The failure of the Bacopa uprising not only caused enormous loss of life and property, but also symbolized the complete shattering of Jewish hopes for rebuilding an independent state in their homeland. The Jewish diaspora remained for a long time until the establishment of the State of Israel in 1948, when this hope was rekindled. If you'd like to learn more about today's news or other content, please leave a comment below. Thank you for your support. Please subscribe, turn on notifications, and share to support this channel and help it continue. You can also visit my Patreon page to learn more. Let's get to know God, reflect on our faith, and live out Christ together.